Hi everyone, thank you very much for watching. In this session, we will discuss on extracting the data and the various file formats that we have for Revit. Let me start with something important. Everything I am sharing here comes from my personal experience in the field. I'm not getting paid by any software company. I'm not trying here to sell you any specific tools or workflow. So if you find this valuable information, it's great. You take it, you implement it. If not, that's fine too. So as you manage your own kitchen, and I'm not trying to be your chef. Okay. So let's get back to the video. So why are we extracting the data or the information that sits within the BIM model? Okay. So the data that should be deriving the decision, it's like for your automation processes, for building some intelligent systems or the business intelligence, right? But the thing here is that any of that thing to happen, we need to extract the data, whether it's a structured information, unstructured information, semi-structured information. Okay. So the reason why I thought it's worth adding this video into the channel is just to see the various file formats that we have within the industry, and then what are the most relevant ones for our built environment. So these are some of the points that we basically extract for. So you might be generating a bill of quantities, you might be developing your own dashboard, or probably you might be utilizing this data for the machine learning or for asking for some of these AI related tasks. Okay. This data could also be for your compliance checking and reporting purposes as well. And the types of data, I've tried to list down some of them. I thought it's worth discussing them. So the various type of file formats that we have that are probably commonly used within the industry are like Excel, CSV, TXT, or the PDF file formats. These are the regular ones. I've seen um, a few hundreds of these plugins or inbuilt features within Revit that can help you to export this data into these file formats. And the other file formats such as like the XML, the JSON, the Parquet, or the databases, those are not very frequently used, and I don't think so that I have seen quite a lot of these applications in the market that are doing that. Okay, by the end of this video, I'll try to share some of these workflows that I've been using it personally for a while, and I'll try to shed some light in this regard. So there are certain limitations within Excel. The more you have the data, the more you try to export that into an Excel format. The Excel format have a lot of issues in terms of holding the large data sets. Same thing with the CSV, same and with the text file as well. Text file is good enough for logging some um, uh, debugging of the data, but it's not really meant to hold the data from the models, because the models have quite a lot of these elements, and then each of these elements they have another few hundreds of attributes. In a sense of Revit, you got like all these instance parameter and the type parameters. PDF is also good format that you can use this for the documentation purposes, but it's not really for the data manipulation. XML, it's generally complex in terms of parsing the data, especially when it comes to the nested data. And JSON is good if you are building a web application and then you wanted to connect your data from your Revit model to any of these web apps or the APIs. Okay. The problem that I have seen quite often with JSON is that it's quite heavy. If you are talking about uh, one model and one category, I think that's a good one to utilize it. But if you're telling that there is 50 models and then you got uh, 25 different categories that contains like uh, huge data, I think this is also not recommended. IFC is mostly used for the data exchange between these various softwares, but also you can, this file format is editable, so you can parse this into for the visualization purpose, okay, visualization of these data, not from the 3D model perspective. Parquet is very good. This is one of my favorite for some time now. It's very light version, and those who know me, like, I'm very much interested in machine learning and forecasting of analytics, etc. So but for these kind of purposes, if you wanted to achieve some very fast result, then this is very good format. uh, i am I mostly utilize Parquet a lot, um, compared to any other file format, but it also may depend on what are you trying to achieve. So for instance, if you're saying that, okay, I have to export the data to an Excel format and then re-import it back into the model, in that instance, I think Excel is very good. If your purpose is to centralize the information, not only just from a model perspective, but from the entire project perspective, in that instance, database is good. So it could be any database. I've just listed here MongoDB here because that's something that I quite often use, but there are so many. Okay, so that's one place where you can store the information. That data can be extracted or connected to various systems. But quite often the challenges is that not everybody has the database management skills, so this may be complex to certain people who are not aware of how things work in the backend. But again, the purpose is very clear: is that there are data in the model, and it depends on the scenario. So it's like, what are you exactly trying to do? Are you trying to run an automation? Are you trying to build a dashboard or some AI or ML predictions, or some approvals workflow? So I think we already discussed about this one. So it's all depends on the specific use case and the requirement. Um, the purpose of this video is just to talk about these various file formats and probably show you one or two applications that can help you to achieve this growth. Okay. There is there are so many applications which are available in the market, and the other day, like, a friend of mine, he just sent me saying that, these are the top five or top 10 Revit plugins in the market. Which is your favorite? So I said, like, okay, let me look into it. So there's a top 10 Revit plugins, I guess. Out of this, probably Dynamo is one which I have used. Pyrobit is something that I have extensively used. Um, the BIM one color splasher, that's something that I used to use years ago. I don't think so that's very much relevant now. If we look into this, I'm not sure if I use anything else apart from Dynamo or Pyruvit. Right, looks like there are plenty of these ones, which are trying to be the top 10 in the market. Anyways, the one which is probably one of my favorite is the one from the data-driven construction. This is an amazing plugin, and it has a lot of potential. You can basically do quite a lot of tasks. It depends on what you exactly wanted to do. And recently, they have also integrated the Init and so there are some very good tutorials which are on the YouTube as well as their GitHub repo. So if you are trying to invest some time trying to build some good dashboard or data extraction workflows, I would strongly recommend going to this one. Uh, there are plenty of tutorials, as I said. I've been using it for very long time, and this application has a lot of potential in terms of the data driven workflows. If you go to the CAD and the BIM converter, you would eventually find out quite a lot of these, uh, which are sort of available for various applications, and then you can run with the help of Python, etc. There are so many examples, as I said, like within their application that you can probably look into, and it's worth going through this application. So it's a very good work that this team has done. The other one which I frequently use is the one from the Functionized BIM. They do got a feature where you can extract the data into these various file formats. And for example, let's just look into one of these example. Okay, so for instance, on this sample model here, I've got a bunch of these various components, and I want to extract this data into, let's say, a Parquet format. Then I can go to this category and parameters. And the reason why I really like Parquet more is that if I am building any of these uh, dashboard, um, for instance, in Power BI, if the data is more, even just to refresh the data within Power BI, that takes a lot of time. Whereas with the Parquet, it's pretty quick and it's faster. So in this example, where you can see that from this particular model, there are the categories which are checked here. Those are the ones which are actively available within this specific view. And for instance, let's say if I just wanted to um, search for doors, or probably let's pick some categories. So let's say I'll select floors, and I'll select doors, and then probably walls and windows. And then these are the three formats that you can export. But let's say if I just go with three of these ones, I can start exporting. This will take some time based on the number of elements that it has within the model. And once it finished processing, it gives you these three different file formats, okay, that you can use it for visualization or for any other purposes. Probably I should have checked only one or two categories. It's not many elements, so hopefully should be fine. Okay, while it is doing it, so what exactly it is doing in the background is that when it is exporting this information, it created these three different file formats. So there is one here which is the JSON. These are the categories that we have selected. So you got your the document title, along with that the category name. So same for the Parquet file format as well, and you got the Excel. Okay, so I think it's still exporting the data. Okay, so it finished the export. All right, so let me just cut this file here. I'll try to gather all of these into one folder. Okay, so if you see, for instance, in the file size, the JSON is somewhere about like 3 MB. That's for the walls. And from an Excel perspective, that's somewhere about like 400 KB. When you actually look at from the Parquet file format, that's only 68 KB. That's quite a lot of difference. Right? So if you are loading the data, I think for the visualization, then in that instance, the Parquet is the best format to go through. Whereas Power BI supports all of these three different file formats. All I'm trying to say is that the file size, when it comes to the different of these elements. So let's say if I open these walls, okay, and this has somewhere about how many records? Somewhere about like 1100 records. Okay, the same if you look into from the JSON perspective. So let's say if I okay, so you have the various data which is coming out of the model. So you got all the instance parameter, whereas you also have all of these type parameters which are available. So each individual, so this is segregated based on the type parameter. You also got it segregated based on the instance parameter. Okay, that's quite a lot of line items. And the challenge with the Parquet is that you cannot really directly open this into any of the file format, but Power BI can open it. Anyways, I'm not trying to run through from the Power BI perspective in this video, but hopefully that should be something that I should consider in the future. So this is it for this specific session. I hope you find it education entertaining. Thank you very much.